Every gilded cage is built with walls of comfort. The only question is what you're paying for them.
All right, let's dive in. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on two really powerful ways you're being manipulated every single day. First, by so-called experts who use complexity to confuse you. And second, by the technology in your pocket that is, by its very nature, designed to get you hooked.
You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You're sitting there listening to someone explain something important, but it's just a tidal wave of jargon and impenetrable buzzwords. And you just find yourself nodding along, not because you get it, but because you're afraid you'll look like the only one in the room who's completely lost.
And then there's this feeling. You pick up your phone for like one simple thing, and suddenly an hour is gone. You just look up from the screen, totally dazed. It's almost creepy, you know? The feed knew exactly what would make you angry, what would make you laugh, what would keep you scrolling. It really doesn't feel like you're in control. Okay, so those two feelings, they're not a coincidence. They are actually symptoms of these really sophisticated systems of control, and it all starts with a very simple and kind of scary principle of how our minds work. This right here, this is a fundamental truth about our brains. We are absolutely wired to hate confusion. It causes this thing called cognitive dissonance, which is basically a type of mental pain. And when we're in that state, we stop looking for the best answer. We just desperately grab onto the first answer that makes the pain stop. And that vulnerability, that's the crack in the door where the manipulation gets in. So let's talk about the first manipulator, the human one. This is the person, the expert, who uses complexity not as a tool to teach, but as a weapon to control. And this is the core of it. Real intelligence, genuine smarts, is about empowering other people. It takes something really complicated and makes it simple, accessible. It builds a bridge for you to walk across. But weaponized complexity, it does the exact opposite. It builds a fortress of jargon to keep you out. The goal isn't to help you understand. The goal is to make you feel small, to dominate. There's a classic playbook for this. It's a drown and rescue tactic. Step 1, just drown the person in a sea of technical terms and acronyms. Then, step 2, let that confusion build until their brain is just screaming for relief. Step 3, you swoop in with a simple, prepackaged solution, like you're throwing them a life raft. And finally, step 4, they're so grateful to not be drowning anymore that they just accept your solution without question. And just like that, you've got control. So from now on, when you feel totally lost in someone's explanation, just pause. Ask yourself, is the problem my understanding or is it their intention? Okay, so that's the human manipulator. Now let's switch gears and talk about the machine that's designed to distract you. So we've met the human who uses confusion. Now let's meet the machine. Because if one system is weaponizing complexity, the other is weaponizing your own brain chemistry against you. The whole engine behind this is a business model called surveillance capitalism. And it's not about selling you a product, it's an entire economy built on one thing: collecting enormous amounts of your personal data. Every click, every like, every hesitation, every search, all to predict and then sell what you are going to do next. And this is probably the most important thing to understand. That feeling of being glued to your screen, of not being able to put your phone down, that's not a personal failure. It's not a lack of willpower on your part. It is the direct result of a system that has been meticulously designed to produce that exact outcome. You are addicted by architecture. And here's how that architecture works. It's a textbook dopamine loop, engineered just like a Las Vegas slot machine. It starts with a trigger, that little buzz in your pocket, that red dot. That makes you take an action. You open the app. Then comes the variable reward, an unpredictable stream of content. You don't know if the next post will be amazing, or validating, or infuriating. That uncertainty is what gives your brain a little hit of dopamine. And then you make an investment. You like, you comment, you share. And that just teaches the algorithm what worked on you, making the next trigger even harder to resist. So in this whole system, you're not the customer. Not at all. Your attention is the product. It's a commodity that is being sold in a real-time auction to the highest bidder.
whether that's an advertiser, a political campaign, or anyone else who wants to influence what you think and what you do.
So what happens when these two systems, the human who confuses you and the machine that addicts you, start working in tandem? Well, that's when truth stops being something you discover for yourself and starts being something that is performed for you. It's all theater.
Let's just look at how neatly this all connects. To control your mind, one system confuses you with jargon, while the other one just hammers you with outrage and dopamine to make it harder to think straight. To control your behavior, one gives you that simple solution you're desperate for, while the other just nudges you along with endless notifications. And the result? It's a two-front war on your ability to think for yourself. Truth becomes whatever the expert says it is, and reality becomes whatever the algorithm decides to show you.
I mean, think about it for a second. The algorithm floods your feed with chaos, with polarizing stuff, with misinformation. It gets you all riled up and confused. And then, conveniently, an expert pops up on your screen offering to make sense of the very mess the machine helped create. It's this perfect vicious cycle, and both of them profit from you being too tired to fight back.
So, what do we do? How do we even begin to push back against this? The first step isn't deleting all your apps or throwing your phone away. The first step is just to learn to see the blueprint, to shift from being a victim inside the system to being an observer of it.
Reclaiming your own mind really starts with awareness. Start asking one simple question over and over. Who benefits from me feeling this way? Who benefits from my confusion or from my outrage? Start spotting the difference between a speaker who wants to clarify and one who just wants to dominate. Learn to see that trigger action reward loop for what it is. And yeah, we can support bigger things like calls for explainable AI so we can actually see why we're being shown certain things. But it really boils down to this: seek real, messy clarity and be very, very suspicious of easy certainty. And here's the amazing part. Once you see the design, you can't unsee it. Your awareness itself becomes an act of resistance. You stop being just another predictable, profitable piece in their machine. You become the glitch in the system, the error in the code they didn't account for. And that really brings us to the final lingering thought. Seeing the patterns, seeing the architecture of manipulation, that's the first huge step, but it just naturally leads to a much, much bigger question. Now that you can see the strings, who's really pulling them?